Hi everybody, and apologies for not being able to present live at the iTell Conference 2026. There was some confusion about the time zones. I am currently in Dublin, in Ireland, and I thought that the time zone difference was actually different from what it actually is. I thought we were on Jakarta time, but I realized actually we're on Bali time. So what I'm doing now is I'm recording a a shortened version of the presentation I was going to give. So I've removed a couple of the interactive sections of the presentation, and we'll see how long it lasts for. I would imagine it probably be about 30 minutes, but we'll just go from there. So thank you for finding the time to come along and to watch this recording. And a huge thank you to the iTell team for organizing this wonderful event and for making it possible for educators to connect with each other and learn lots of different new ideas on how we can use technology in the classroom. So it's just amazing. I've been working with iTell for on and off for about 4 or 5 years now, and it's always been an absolute pleasure. So my name is Joe Dale, as you can see. I'm a former languages teacher. I taught French for 13 years, 3 years at secondary school level, and then 10 years at middle school level, working with 9, 13-year-olds. So I've got upper primary and secondary school experience. And for the last 17 years now, I've been an independent consultant. I've traveled all over the world, running training, speaking at conferences and doing keynotes and things like that in places like Australia, New Zealand, North America, South America, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and all over Europe. And I'm currently planning a trip to Southeast Asia in March 2027. So I very much hope that will include a trip to Jakarta in Indonesia. So that would be that would be amazing if that happens. So this session is focusing on how we can use AI as a sparring partner. The idea essentially is instead of seeing AI as an answer machine, in other words, where users can put in a prompt, a question, and then it will then just generate the answer for them. So this makes the, if you like, the experience frictionless. But the issue is that for good learning to take place, we don't want that frictionless context. We want to have a little bit of struggle in order for us to remember the ideas that we want to work on, to view AI as a learning buddy, but one that you can push back on, that you can ask questions of. And you'll be seeing throughout this session how I'm framing AI in that way as a type of sparring partner. You'll see in the images throughout the presentation that I've deliberately put boxing gloves on the humanoid character, which is supposed to be maybe me about 20 years ago, but less or more muscly, should I say. And then the humanoid character is also wearing boxing gloves, and that's the idea of this metaphor of the sparring partner. So if you don't know, a sparring partner is someone who you practice with when you're getting ready for a boxing fight. And you can try out all your different techniques on the sparring partner. You can push back, you can duck and dive, and that is very much the approach that I've been developing recently when using AI, particularly using a Socratic approach. In other words, when you are asking the AI to ask you a series of questions about a presentation or a topic or a lesson plan or what have you that you're creating. You then give the answers to the AI one by one, and then based on the answers, it can then generate for you a more nuanced result, which I find very, very useful. So this session, AI as a sparring partner, practical ways to develop language skills. Now, I'm particularly going to be focusing on adult language learners because of the issues around age restrictions with AI tools. For example, most AI tools, you have to be 13 plus for using them. But if young people had parental permission and were allowed to use AI tools, and the school, if it's in a school context, has an AI policy in place, and gives permission for you to use tools in this way, then that's fine. But I'm focusing on how teachers or adults could use AI for this particular context for developing their language skills. Okay, I hope that's nice and clear. So let's carry on with the presentation. Okay, so let's go from here. Here we are. Okay, so the session overview. I would like to reflect on my own experience of learning with AI, which I've sort of given you an introduction to. I've reframed AI as a sparring partner, not an answer machine. This idea of trying to make the learning have more friction, not just expecting the AI to give you the answer, but giving you hints towards the answer. So you have to work it out yourself. You're not cognitively offloading. You're using your brain to work out what the correct answer is based on what you're interested in. We're then going to have a look at a practical workflow using a YouTube clip, which I have prepared for you, and how I can use Google Gemini in conjunction with this YouTube clip to create a number of different interactive experiences and resources live within Google Gemini. A lot of the principles you could use in other large language models, but I just thought, as I normally demonstrate with ChatGPT, I thought I would show how Google Gemini can work particularly well in this context. And I do think that Google Gemini is getting better and better all the time. So we're also going to look at how we can use Gemini for creating, for example, questions and quizzes and flashcards. And we're even going to make a song as well based on the content of the YouTube clip, which we're going to explore. In the presentation, which I'll be sharing with you on the last slide, you'll be able to see all the slides, and also I have put the different prompts which I am going to be using live in Google Docs, and I've linked to them in the presentation as well. So you really should have everything that you need, which is going to be fantastic, I think, and that will allow you to try out the ideas yourself, experiment, iterate, and so on and so forth. And that's what this is all about. It's supposed to give you some ideas, but then I would encourage you to try out these ideas yourself. Okay, so let's carry on. So this is a quote from a UNESCO report called AI and the Future of Education, Disruptions, Dilemmas and Directions. I've put the link there to the original article. And I love this quote. So as you can see, it says, now for the first time, machines are no longer only passive tools. They are fast becoming interactive actors and agents that talk back, respond, and engage us as personalized tutors, companions, and even professors, reshaping what it means to learn and teach. And I think this is very much in line with my thinking currently, that we no longer have to be passive in our learning. When using computers, we can use a Socratic approach. We can ask the AI to question us about our thoughts, to make our thinking deeper, more reflective. Of course, there's this new idea of agentic AI, which I won't be getting into in this session. The idea behind that is that you have the AI agent running in the background doing tasks which has no human interference or keeping a human in the loop, which I'm still sort of developing my feelings about that. But this is very much keeping the human in the loop and interacting with the AI. Okay, so have a think about that quote while we carry on. So this is the sparring partner metaphor in more detail. So instead of the AI just giving solutions, it's asking questions instead. It's giving hints over answers. And we can see this sort of mode, if you like, in Gemini and in ChatGPT. So in other words, it's a default mode, or we can ask the AI to not give us the answer, but to give us hints instead. And I just think that if we're going to be using AI in education with young people, then I think this is the best way forward in lots of ways. In other words, not using AI as a way of cognitively offloading, but as a way of stimulating our thoughts and our thinking processes and our cognition. That is the way in which I think we should use AI if we're going to encourage young people to use it. We know they're using it already. But in a way, we have a paradox at the moment. If you're working in an environment which doesn't have a clear AI policy, so we know that students are using AI, but are we allowed to suggest them more ethical ways of using AI if there isn't a clear AI policy? And that is the paradox that I see again and again and again. And even now, 4 years after ChatGPT came out, um, still, I would say the vast majority of schools, or certainly colleagues that I've been working with recently, doing training around the world, they don't have an AI policy in place. So this is now becoming, a very important issue to meet head on, I think, and hopefully this presentation will help with that. Now, I wanted to give a shout out to Alastair Budge as well. I saw him being interviewed on the Luke's English podcast. I've appeared on that podcast as well myself. You can find the recordings on Luke's English podcast YouTube channel. And in episode 936, Alastair was talking with Luke about this whole approach of um, prompting the AI to give hints, to co-construct answers together. And I absolutely love that analogy, and I've been sort of exploring this ever since in my own practice. To give you an idea of that, I was in Galway last week, and what I was doing after my day of training, I'd go back to my accommodation. I would then start recording audio on my iPad while I was presenting on my Mac. I was literally going through the same steps again, but more quickly, recording each step as audio only. I then airdropped the audio from my iPad to my Mac and transcribed it using TurboScribe. I then put the transcript, having proofread it, into ChatGPT, and then I then said, okay, so here is the transcript of today's session. I want you to ask me 10 questions. Wait until I've answered the first question before you ask the next question, etc. And then together we can work out the narrative of what the article is going to be about. And then from there, I would see what it came up with. I would then push back and I'd explain different ideas. And it would take me about 3 hours every day to do this, but it made for one, very deep reflections, and two, for very rich summaries of each day, picking out particular points that I found interesting. So if you want to follow any of that conversation, you can have a look on LinkedIn or my Facebook group, which I'll be showing again later, called Language Teaching with AI. Okay, so that's the context that we're talking about here, and I put the link to the podcast episode at the bottom of this slide as well. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, now I think it's important at this point to talk about some of the ethical and safe AI use key principles. I've touched upon this already, but I think that when we're using AI, we must protect our own personal data, of course. But if we are going to be using AI with students below the age of 18, then if we're allowed to, if there's an AI policy in place, we need to make sure that we model good practice, and we say to young people that they shouldn't be sharing personal data in a large language model such as ChatGPT, such as Gemini, because any data they put into it, if in the case of ChatGPT, if they turn it off, it will be sent to the model to train the large language model. Now, it is true to say that if you're using a Google for Education account or a Microsoft Copilot for Education account, then there could be agreements in place which says that the data which students input is not being sent to the bot to train it, but that will be in the detail of the license that the school has out. So again, that's why I decided to sort of focus on adult language learners here as opposed to students. So I would recommend that you check with your school about any of these ideas that I'm sharing. If the school is happy for you to explore them, if you have an AI policy, if you have an agreement in place about what's happening to the data that you're inputting into a large language model, and go from there. Another important thing to review is any AI output that a large language model can produce. You need to check that for accuracy because it can come up with inaccurate information and also that it's up to date, that it's relevant as well. Also, the idea of bias. I really like the weird mnemonic standing for Western, educated, industrial, rich, and democratic. So the suggestion is that a lot of the data which has been fed into these large language models is from North America, and therefore that information will be potentially biased in that particular direction. So if we want to produce diverse outcomes, we need to change the prompt accordingly. I normally give the example of if you ask a large language model that can create images, the prompt, create an image of a doctor, a teacher, a nurse, or a boss. You tend to find that the male roles are the boss and the doctor. So they're seen as, high profile roles, if you like, with high status. And the nurse and the teacher tend to be seen as females, when of course both types of job could be male or female. So that's really fascinating as well, and also around ethnicity and things like that as well. So these are important issues, and clearly, as a teacher, you would want to make sure that the results that you produce using AI are classroom ready and reflect a diverse demographic, and not focusing on the weird potential of bias that we can see with AI. I also think it's really important to use AI to support thinking and not replace it, going back to the idea of the answer machine or the sparring partner, the learning buddy, using it as a way of helping you to think more deeply about a particular piece of work you're working on, and not just expect the AI just to give you the answer. And again, engaging critically with AI responses, again, pushing back if you don't agree with what the AI has produced, telling it to improve itself. Something I've been doing recently, which was a tip that someone gave on a webinar I watched recently, was to suggest to the AI to give it a mark out of 10. So you could say, for example, what would you give yourself out of 10 for this response? And if it says, for example, I give myself 7 out of 10, then of course the next question is, well, what do you need to do to give yourself 9 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10? And that is a way of reducing, I think, the sycophantic nature of large language models, to make it more critical and for you to experiment and to adapt your thinking and to push forward in getting a more improved, nuanced reply. So there we are. Let's carry on. Okay, so this is the video clip which I'm going to work with you on. So it's from a channel called Learn English with Joe. It's aimed at adult language learners who are working at B1 to B2 level in English. I'm just going to play you a little snippet of this to give you a flavor, but essentially the video clip and her channel in general is around sharing real language that people in England are using, and to try and make you sound more British, if you like, compared to learning just from a textbook. So let me come out of my presentation, and then what I will do is I will go to the clip live, and I'll just play a little snippet of it to give you a flavor. Here we go.
Have you ever felt like you understand English, and yet when you get into a conversation with a British person, the language still feels a little bit like a secret code? Maybe you've studied grammar, you know lots of vocabulary, but then you meet a British person and you think, what on earth are they talking about? I didn't learn this English from my textbook. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you some of the exact British English expressions and phrases that I use pretty much every day. These phrases will help you to sound more relaxed and more fluent and a bit more confident in your British English conversations. By the way, I'm Jo, and I work with adults who...
There we are. So that's giving you a flavor of what the video is all about. What I'm going to do now is click the share option. and click copy. Now I can take that link and I can put it into Gemini and it will give me a summary. Another idea you can do, if you wanted to use another tool like ChatGPT, for example, is you can go to the description, click on more, go down to where it says show transcript. I can click on show transcript here, and then the whole transcript, as you can see, will appear. I would recommend then you go down to the bottom and you select from the bottom like this, go to the top, copy the transcript, and then go from there. So just as a point of example, I will show you how this would work in ChatGPT, and then I'll show you how it works in Gemini. So in ChatGPT, I could say something like, based on this transcript, create 10 multiple choice questions at B1 level English about the British expressions used in this video. Include an answer key. Okay, something like that. Now I then put a colon, I paste in the transcript, we wait for it to load like this, and then I press submit like that. Occasionally it will do this. Let me just try again. Let me refresh the page. And then let's put in the transcript again. No, hang on, let's do that again. Go back to the transcript, which is here. So I'll copy the transcript again, go back to ChatGPT, and then paste it in. There we are. So I just wait for that to load, and then I can click the submit button, send in the prompt. That's interesting. I don't know why it's not doing that. Let me just try one more time. Okay, so let's get the transcript again. If it doesn't work this time, then I'll move on, but it should work. Okay, here we are. Let's try again. No, it just doesn't want to do it for some reason. I do not understand why that is. Never mind. That's all good. All part of the fun. So we'll forget ChatGPT for now, but normally that would work. So if I click share and copy, I go into Gemini and I'm just going to paste in the link like this. Can you see? So I haven't got a prompt. I've just got the link. And what should now happen is there we are. It's now giving me a summary of the video. So you can see, for example, it's pulling out phrases such as give me a sec, won't be a sec. Yeah. Hang on a minute. I need to pick up a few bits all over the place. Could I just, would you mind? And these are very typical British expressions, which are the sorts of things I'm sure that language learners would want to learn how to say. If, for example, they wanted to sound more British, more natural in the way that Joe has talked about. So here, if I wanted to, I could say, based on this transcript, create 10 multiple choice questions at B1 level English about these different phrases, include an answer key. So let's put art keys. I'm going to say answer key. And then I'm going to submit this. Okay, and then we'll see what it comes up with. Okay, so it's decided that this should be interactive, which is amusing. Okay, so now it presumes we've watched the video. So let's have a quick look at how this works. So if someone says, give me a sec, I just need to grab my keys. What are they asking you to do? Help them look for their keys. Wait for a very short moment, give them a second key, call them back later. I think the answer is B, but let's click on the hint option. Think about what the word sec is short for. So it's not just giving me the answer, it's helping me to think. So I'm going to say B, and I've got it right. That's great. Then I click next. So you can see how this can encourage independent learning. Okay, but of course with Gemini, you'd have to be 18 plus unless you're using a Google for Education Gemini account. So, in which of the following sentences is hang on a minute used to question or check something rather than ask someone to wait? Okay, so um, okay, that's interesting. Let me just read this again. In which of the following sentences is hang on a minute used to question or check something rather than asking someone to wait? So, used to question or check something. Okay. Okay, so I think it's A. Yep, and that's right. Okay, if I clicked on this one, I can't click on that. I can only click on it once. That's fine. So because the expression hang on a minute in for A is in the context of using it to question or check something rather than asking someone to wait, which the other ones would be in that category. So let's click next. What does a British person mean when they say they're going to the shop to pick up a few bits? Okay, so they're choosing which items to discard. They need to buy a few small miscellaneous items. They're picking up pieces of trash. They're going to buy tools or hardware components. So it's going to be B. Okay, as you can see, it says good job 3 in a row. And there we are. Now, I'm not going to do all of these, but you get the idea how you can take an appropriate, authentic clip and turn it into a set of questions very, very easily. Whereas with ChatGPT, what I was trying to do was show how you can make static questions, and then you could then copy that and then paste that into, say, for example, a Google Doc, turn it to a worksheet, whatever it is that you want to do. Okay, so let's go back to my presentation and let's go to the next slide. So here you can see that it's talking about working the content. I particularly like this image. I must say, working the content. You're sparring with the punch bag. You're working the content. So paste the YouTube link directly into Google Gemini, which is what I did. Gemini automatically generates a summary and context. You don't need a prompt. You don't need the transcript editing. You don't need any setup. So that's what we've just done before we made the quiz. Okay. So now this bit, this is a prompt which I've written called From Input to Questioning to Understanding. So let me again come out of my presentation and then let me find the prompt, which I think is this one. Yep. Okay. So here, let's have a look. So it says, you are my English learning sparring partner. From this video, choose 2 British English expressions that native speakers use naturally, but that a B1 to B2 learner might not fully understand or use confidently, etc., etc. So let me copy that and put it into Gemini, which I have here. And I'm going to now paste it in here. Okay. And we'll see what it comes up with. Okay. So as you can see, it says, hello, I'm excited to be your learning partner today. We're going to dive into 2 fantastic British English expressions from the video. To help you truly internalize these, we're going to use a couple of powerful learning strategies. Okay. So retrieval and productive struggle. Instead of just reading definitions, I want you to actively think and guess and try to retrieve the meaning yourself. It might feel a bit challenging, but this struggle is exactly what makes the language stick in your brain, which is exactly the philosophy that I'm talking about here. Delayed feedback. I won't give you the answers right away. If you get stuck, I will offer a gentle hint first to help you refine your guess before we look at the full explanation. So the speaker says in the video, I need to nip to the shop to pick up a few bits. What do you think pick up a few bits means in this context? Okay, so I'm going to now, I could use the dictation on my Mac or I could use the microphone. So I'm going to use the microphone here. I think the expression to pick up a few bits is referring to buy a few essential items such as bread or milk from a local shop. So things that we use every day for cooking. Normally it's relevant to food, I would say. So I'm going to send that in and we'll see what Gemini comes back with. Spot on. Okay, you hit the nail right on the head. Good English expression. Why your guess was perfect, achievement validation. So it's giving me some feedback now. You correctly identified that it's about buying everyday essentials like bread or milk. In British English, bits is a wonderful casual vague word for things or items. While it's very frequently used for small food grocery runs, it can also include non-food items like toilet roll, batteries, or a notebook, which is exactly the case. The beauty of this phrase is that you don't have to list everything you are buying. You just say a few bits and everyone knows exactly what you mean. Great. So the next one is my head is all over the place. What does that mean? So imagine a friend says this to you at the start of a workday. What do you think all over the place means when applied to someone's head or thoughts? Take a guess and think aloud. Okay, so let's go for this one. I think the expression, my head is all over the place today, means that you are feeling possibly overwhelmed, that you have a lot of things to do, a lot of ideas to think about at the same time, a lot of plates to juggle, to use an expression, and you feel a bit stressed, and you know that you have a lot to do, um, and you need to work out the best way of dealing with the tasks in front of you. So to say my head is all over the place today means that you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, a bit stressed, but you know that there is work that you need to do. Okay, let's see if it agrees with me or not. Okay, you're incredibly close. You've captured the stress, the feeling of being overwhelmed, and the plates to juggle aspect perfectly. Before I give you the final explanation, let's do one tiny bit of productive struggle. I love it. To refine the exact nuance. So if your head is all over the place, how easy is it for you to actually concentrate, organize your thoughts, or make a decision? Okay, so I'm going to say, I would say that if your head is all over the place, you're finding it very difficult to concentrate and organize your thoughts. And that is why you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Okay, bullseye. That is the exact final piece of the puzzle. Why your refinement is perfect. When a British person says, my head is all over the place, they aren't just busy, they are experiencing a temporary lack of mental organization, e.g., the visual. Imagine a room where papers, clothes, and books are physically scattered all over the place on the floor. Now apply that image to your brain. Your thoughts are scattered, messy, and chaotic. The result, because your thoughts are so disorganized, you find it incredibly difficult to focus on one thing, make clear decisions, or remember where you just put your keys. By engaging in that brief struggle and thinking through the nuance, you successfully mapped how the physical meaning of all over the place, messy or scattered, translates directly to a mental state. Great. And then it's given me some reflection on my learning. So I don't need to do, more than two. That's giving you an idea, a flavor of how this productive struggle works and how this could be a great way of allowing you as an independent language learner to deepen your understanding of, in this case, expressions, to test your understanding, to get feedback, adaptive feedback from the AI, which is something that AI is very good at doing, and improving your ability to quickly think critically and improve your cognition about anything that you're interested in, essentially. So that was wonderful. I'm very pleased with how that's gone. So let's carry on. Okay, now I'm now suggesting that we could create a self-marking quiz. We've already actually done that, and it automatically created what's called Gemini Canvas, which, if you don't know, is the option in Gemini. It's also available in ChatGPT as well. When you are creating a blank page in your prompt to then create interactive content. And I use this a lot when I'm doing things like vibe coding with Gemini, but that's not what we're talking about today. You can create flashcards, you can create a study guide. So let's go back to Gemini and let's try that right now. Okay, so I could say create 10 flashcards on these different expressions, create the learning mode, first of all, and then create a testing mode to see whether I have remembered the different meanings of the different flashcards. Give me hints if I get the answer wrong, and give me a time limit as well. Okay, let's try this now. Okay, so as you can see, it's given me some feedback like that. And it's also given me some rules. But what I'd like it to do is I would like it to use the canvas. So I'm going to click on canvas, which is already enabled anyway. So let me just ask it to actually build this. build the flashcard unit in Canvas so I can use it interactively. Use it interactively, right? So, okay. Okay, let's see what it's going to do. Okay, so it's thinking about it, it's defining the scope, designing the interface. So what I'm hoping is going to happen is on the canvas area on the right-hand side, which currently has my interactive mode in it, it's going to change that into a set of flashcards. There we are. Yeah, can you see? It's done it, creating your app. Wait for it to finish. Okay. So we're doing this in real time, but it should be ready very soon. And if it does everything as I've asked it to, we should have a learning mode, a testing mode, and some sort of stopwatch or timing mechanism, which is, a classic way of setting up flashcards. So this is a type of vibe coding, by which I mean you give plain text instructions for the large language model, and it then builds the web app without you needing any experience of coding at all. And if you are using Google Gemini, the education version, then you could potentially, if it's enabled for your students could build their own web apps in this way as well. So now we've got study deck and active test. Let's try it out. So what will not take a long time, I'll be ready in a very short moment. So action, go ahead and start the car. It won't be a sec. Okay, so that is the meaning, and this is the actual phrase. So click card to return to phrase. So if I click there, that's interesting. So it's not doing anything. So if I click press, no. So it must be, that's it, next. So I'm just getting used to the interface. Let's click, there we are. Okay, so wait a moment or stop and pause to check questions, something that seems wrong. So this is just the learning mode, isn't it? We're just going through and reminding ourselves of the content of the video. And once we've done that, let's click take test. Let's imagine I've done all 15. So I click take text. Okay, so go on without me. I just need to grab my keys. So I think it's going to be, I won't be a sec. Yes, and I got it right. Next card. That totally doesn't look quite right to me. I think it's going to be, hang on a minute. Yep. Logging out to the shop to pick up a few bits. I keep losing my train of thought. My head is completely... So it looks like the correct answer is A each time, or the first one. So if I was doing this for real, I would prompt Gemini to have another go. So you can see spouses hint unlocked. Imagine puzzle. Okay, so that's good. Let's get that right. Let's just see if it is the correct answer. Yeah, so it looks like it's got the correct answer is this one here. So you'd obviously redo it to get it right. So you're pushing back. You're not expecting the first answer. So there we are. Again, hopefully that's giving you an idea of how that would work. So now I'm going to, well, let's just try it quickly. Let's say the correct answer is always the first item in the active test option. Redo this and make sure that the correct answer is an average selection of different options, not just always the first option. Evenly distributed, I should have said. There we are. So hopefully, because it's already built the web app, it won't take too long to do this again. You can see it's saying implementing the shuffle option, and it should be updating it. It's nearly finished. And then we'll see what it looks like. With vibe coding, you can find that it can suddenly decide to change the interface completely. So I would recommend having regular backups. And to do that, you click the code option, and select all the code and copy it, or you click the share option, which is here, and it will say copy contents, and then you have regular backups. You paste that into some sort of text document like Notepad on a Windows laptop or text edit on a Mac. So that's what I normally do, because it can be a bit unstable, to say the least. But when it works, it's great. So it's really good for sort of simple prototyping, simple web apps like this, to encourage independent language learning. There we are, it's done it. So let's go to active text and let's see. So go on without me, yeah, I won't be a sec. Yeah, can you see? So it's now done it. Something that totally doesn't look quite right to me. So it's going to be hang on a minute. Yeah, so it's done it. Perfect. Right, so that's great. Just to show you, if I click here and it says copy contents, or I click here and you see all the code, and then you just copy the code and paste it into a text document as a backup. Right, let's go for study guide. So I'm going to say, build a study guide for these expressions. Okay, so we'll have a look at what it's going to be doing now. While it's doing that, let me go back to my presentation. So that was the immediate consolidation, and you can see how that would work. And the next idea we're going to look at is how we can create a song about these different expressions. And again, I've got a Google Doc here, and this is a great idea, I think, of creating an earworm to help with retrieval practice. So the song is here, and I'm going to copy that, and we'll just now go back to Gemini to see whether it's finished generating my study guide. Yes, it has. Look. So it's made my study guide. Again, this is designed for independent learning, and that looks fabulous. Okay, let's carry on. Let's put the prompt now in for the song. So I want a short, catchy song using all 15 British English expressions from this the video in context. So let's send it in. So now it should come up with a set of lyrics, including these different expressions. Okay, so it's drafting the lyrics, integrating British phrases. Here we are, and it's come up with a splendid sort of day. So, okay, so it's given some like instructions. I don't want the instructions, I just want the lyrics. Just give me the lyrics. Because we're going to use another AI tool to generate the actual song itself. And I'm sure you have heard of the tool called Suno, S-U-N-O, which I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. Yeah, here we are. So that's perfect now. Okay, so we're going to copy that. And then I'm going to go into Suno, which is here. I'm going to go to the advanced option because that allows me to paste in the lyrics like that. Okay. And we'll just get rid of the first bit. So we start with the title. In fact, I'm going to copy that title like that. And then we'll just put the lyrics at the top. Perfect. So then underneath that, we're going to go to where it says the title, paste in the title. And then here we have options of different styles. So I'm going to go for K-pop, which should prove popular, I think. And then I click create. And then about 10 or 15 seconds later, it should generate the song for us. And you get 2 versions of the same song. You can create 5 songs a day, and you get 2 versions of each song. So it's 10 songs you get, but it's basically 5 songs with 2 versions of each song. So here is the worldwide premiere of the classic A Splendid Sort of Day. Let's have a listen.
I woke up late, where is my shoe? To be quite honest, I haven't got a clue. My keys are missing, my kitchen is a mess. My head is all over the place, I must confess. My friend is waiting out in the rain, calling my phone again and again. on my shoe. Won't be a sec, I'll be right down to you. Oh, the buses are canceled, what a nightmare today. But at least it's not snowing, that's what they say. So, well.
So that's giving you a flavor of the type of song we have. This is version 2, also K-pop. Very different in style.
I woke up late, where is my shoe? To be quite honest, I haven't got a clue. My keys are missing, my kitchen is a mess. My head is all over the place, I must confess. My friend is waiting out in the rain, calling my phone again and again. I yell out the window, putting on my shoe. Won't be a sec, I'll be right down to you.
Now, I'm sure you agree, if you choose a style like K-pop, it's very easy to hear the lyrics clearly, which isn't always the case if you choose other genres like hard rock or metal. It could be that the lyrics are deeper in the mix and you can't hear them. So you want to choose a style like K-pop, like folk maybe, like a ballad where you can really hear the lyrics. Okay, so let's imagine that you particularly like a song and you want to download it. You click the 3 dots here, you click download and you choose MP3 audio. Okay, this will come up and it says need commercial rights, only pro and premium songs are eligible for commercial use. We're not using it for commercial use, we're using it for education. So you can just click download anyway. That will download the MP3 file, and from there you can do whatever you want with it. If you're working in a environment which doesn't have good internet connectivity, in a school, for example, as a teacher, you could download the audio, make an offline worksheet on paper, and then distribute that, play the song, and then that would work very nicely in a context which didn't have good internet connection. So I definitely recommend having a look at Suno. It's fabulous for making these earworms to help us to learn the phrases we want to learn. So as we come towards the end, let's do a few more of the slides. I'm not going to do this live, but I'm just going to explain the idea behind this one. This is a technique which I've been using for about a year now, and it's the idea of asking the AI to help you through a Socratic approach to develop your own personalized developmental plan in the context of using AI. So if you were to go to this prompt, which is here, let me show you. If I come out of the presentation, this, here we are, and I go to this prompt, then it will ask you a number of questions. It's about 10 or 12 questions. So you just start copying it from here down to the bottom, etc. And it will then ask you, for example, which language or languages are you currently learning and roughly what level are you working at, e.g. B1, B2, advanced, etc. It will ask you all these different questions, and then based on your answers, obviously you need to answer as honestly as possible. It will then create a plan for you, which you can then download as a Word document, or you can copy it, paste it into, say, a Google Doc, etc. And that will then give you a roadmap for the next few months. So it's very much putting into practice the things I've been talking about that I really believe in, of using AI as a sparring partner, as a way of helping to co-create, in this case, a language learning developmental plan. So do try that out. I'd love to know how it goes. If you'd like to let me know, that would be great. And let's carry on. Okay, so to conclude, what I've tried to show you in this presentation is how AI can be used as a co-creator, not as an answer machine. How we can use it to promote productive struggle, because this can lead to deeper understanding and retention, which is what I've tried to demonstrate live. And that simple prompts can turn AI into a genuine learning partner. And as I said, I'm sharing all the prompts with you so you can have a play with these, experiment yourself and see if the prompts work for you. And that independent learners stay in control of the pace, the focus and the direction if they use AI as a co-creator, as a sparring partner. Okay. So let's carry on. If you'd like to stay in touch with me, then my email address is there, joedale@talk21.com. I have a Facebook group, which I talked about already, called Language Teaching with AI, which has 6,500 members. I'd love to see some more people joining. You will get 3 questions that you need to answer and some groups rules to show, interest in joining. I will then review those, and then if I'm happy with the answers, I can then let you in, and you can then see all the different posts that I've been writing and other people have been writing on the topic of language teaching with AI. If you're not a language teacher but you're interested in AI, you'll get a lot from that community as well. I also regularly post the same or similar articles on LinkedIn as well, so feel free to follow me there. I have a YouTube channel, which is, as you can see, youtube.com/@joedale. There's a lot of material there, some of which is AI related, and other ideas are to do with educational technology and language teaching, as well as the 10-part series that I collaborated with iTell about, which we did in 2021, and features lots of interesting ideas of using EdTech in the classroom or outside of the classroom. I'm also on X and Blue Sky as well, if you want to connect with me there. Okay. So if you would like the presentation, here it is with all the prompts. Just go to tinyurl.com/iTell joedale. There's the QR code, which you can scan as well. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Again, thank you so much to the iTell team for inviting me, giving me this opportunity. And I really hope that you find the content useful, that you do try it out, have a play, see what you think. And I'm very much hoping I'll be coming to Jakarta in March 2027 for a face-to-face workshop, but more news about that in due course while I have it. But that's the plan at the moment. So thank you again. And that is me. So I will stop recording now and share the recording with the team. Thank you ever so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. And I really hope that you found the session useful. Thank you.